Hi Bookends! Welcome to a 10 Men book review. I'm 10. Today's book review is going to be on, can you see it? I Am Who I Am, the self-discovery of Michael Williams. I'm sorry about the light. I'll see if I can get a better picture for the, for the little inlet over here. But yes, Who I Am, the self-discovery of Michael Williams by Dionte Coleman. Now I know you see this chair beside me that's empty, but just imagine that my sister too is sitting there instead of wandering around somewhere behind the camera doing other stuff. Just imagine there's somebody there. Anyway, so we like to start off every book review with a star point, as in out of 10 stars, how many stars this particular book honor. And we also like to give a rating, as in if this book was a movie or a TV show, what would it be rated? Stars wise, we rated this book very gently because it is, one, an indie author, and two, it is their debut novel. So most indie authors don't have anyone behind them aside from themselves, in the way of editors, publishers, publicists, things like that. And because it is their debut novel, we do make some exceptions. Also, this is an art copy, not the finished product. I believe the finished product is out and available right now. So star point based on this copy, it is from me a 5 out of 10 stars, for to a 4 out of 10 stars, which isn't bad for a debut novel. And for a rating, I'd probably say this lands solidly in the PG-13. There's nothing in it that a 13-year-old raised in a country where most things are discussed would find off-putting about this. It's like your average American, Canadian, European 13-year-old wouldn't find anything out of the way about this. So I would say PG-13. There is some cursing in it. It's not peppered with cursing though, so it's not a lot, but it is there. So jumping right on in, the story is about Michael. Now, in order for you to enjoy this book, you have to look at it as someone's having a conversation with you. So you're not following a story directly, you're not directly in the story, and you're not directly following behind a story. Someone is having a conversation with you about it. Now, there is no narrator, so it's not as though Michael or some third party is looking down and narrating this to the reader, but it is written in a way that would denote a narrator. So to give an example, is it Golden Years? Let me ask my husband, Pierre.
Yes, sir.
What is that show with the Savage Kid who, like, I couldn't watch it because Wonder Years, yes. Forgive me for my lack of knowledge for shows that were around in the late 80s, early 90s, mid 90s. If they didn't have people of color in it, my dad didn't allow us to watch it because he said if they can't have you in it, you don't need to support it. So, yes, the Wonder Years. So imagine that it is something like the Wonder Years where you have this person narrating it, except instead of like the Wonder Years where it's the actual person but older narrating it, it's just someone telling you about it. But it's still that narrative kind of writing style. So you're getting someone who's talking to you about what Michael is doing. And sometimes that talk is present tense, sometimes it is close past tense. So to give an example of that, sometimes it'll say something to the effect of, and Michael is doing this. Other times it will say, and Michael just did this. So it's close present tense. It was not like, and Michael did this 5 years ago. So that's the key to enjoying this book. You have to look at it as if someone's narrating it to you, as if someone is telling you, like a cousin of yours or a neighbor of yours, or somebody is just telling you a story about Michael. So one day he goes to the beach. He's visiting his aunt and his 2 male cousins, and he goes to the beach. Oh, by the way, this is set in the future, so I believe it's in the 2040s. So it's not the too distant future, about 20 some odd years from now. But yes, so he goes to the beach where his cousins and his aunt live not too far from, he meets a young lady by the name of Ariel. So this book is a hodgepodge of different genres. It is contemporary in the way that he meets this Ariel. There is kind of, it's not a full-on type of love interest, but he is 18 and she's 17 going on 18, so there is that will they, won't they aspect to it, and there's a lot of conversation. There's a lot of everyday situations happening, so it does have that contemporary aspect to it. There's also a mystery aspect to it because he's trying to figure out who this girl is, what her father does for a living, why her mother died. You know, and that's not a spoiler. Her mother's death is just another detail within the book, but it's not a spoiler. You knowing that her mother is dead, it doesn't spoil anything for you. So yeah, there's the mystery part of that, trying to figure out more about Ariel and what her family is doing and what's going on, what are they looking for. And there's also a science fiction element to it because of the kind of work that her father does do. And when they kind of solve the mystery, it brings you into... When I say science fiction, I don't mean like space and aliens and things like that. I mean futuristic scientific discoveries, like that form of science fiction. So not like a Star Trek kind of science fiction, but more like a Contagion type science fiction where it's not that far off. So I do like how the author, when it did come to the science fiction elements within the book, because it's only 20 years ahead, I like that he didn't make it so that it seemed super duper futuristic, like we're living on Saturn 20 years from now. Like he wasn't doing that, because it's not realistic. 20 years from now, we're probably not going to be living on Saturn. Give us 50 years, give us 60 years, give us 70 years. Might take trips to the moon, might have a little, you know, Hotel Riviera on the moon, but probably not Saturn. Not within, you know, but 100 or so. Actually, less than 100 years of us going to the moon. I doubt that we'd be living on Saturn. So I like that the authors look into the future, into what the 2040s would look like, correlates with how it might actually look like. One example of that was when the protagonist, Michael, called his mother, a hologram appeared. Which makes sense because holograms are being used now sometimes in the news. We have Zoom, we have FaceTime, we have Google Duo, all these different things that we can call someone on and see them with. So saying that 20 some odd years from now, we have a device that's able to call someone and project a hologram of that person, that doesn't seem as though it's too far-fetched. And that also doesn't take you out of the story and make you wonder, like, what happened in between? Because it seem like the regular flow of what technology would be like. To enjoy this story, so it's not a bad story at all. It is the author's debut novel. So that is something to keep in mind. Tu and I did rate this gingerly just because it is a debut novel by an indie author. So we weren't as heavy-handed with this as we might have been with a debut novel by someone who had a large publishing house behind them. That being said, you'll enjoy this book if you enjoy conversational pieces, if you enjoy pieces or books that advocate I shouldn't say advocate, but that make use of a conversation-based writing style. I'm just looking down at something really quick. Got a message from my mom. But yes, so this is the author's first book. We are looking forward to more from the author to see how they progress and see what it is they come up with. We were told that this is a part of a trilogy. So apparently, the ending seemed pretty final to me. But since it's not the actual ending, first of all, once again, this is an arc. So this is not the final product. So even though the ending seemed pretty final to me, Tu didn't say whether or not it felt final to her. But yes, this is a part of a trilogy, so we look forward to seeing how the author kind of develops this story, develops this theme. And I believe he also said that he's interested in writing some other stories too, as well as children's stories, so that sounds like a very interesting endeavor as well. So once again, this story has been, well, I should say, this review has been on... my ring light is just going to prevent you from being able to see this, so yeah. Who Am I? The Self-Discovery of Michael Williams by Dionte Coleman. If you like what you see, please like and subscribe. Bye, Bookends.